This is just a rough draft. Going to talk very low. I live now in an apartment and I don't want my neighbors to hear me. In the dark a little bit here because I look so terrible from the targeting. I just can't bear it. I sent this to a another TI, and she suggested that I make a copy, do this on YouTube. So here I am. I was moved out of my daughter's house because of the targeting. I'm now living downtown Peabody on a one-room, like it's like a rooming house. It's right on Main Street, and it is absolutely perp drive-by city. I get hit all the time, just as intense where I was, if not more, because it's constant all day, the drive-bys. And I may not stay here long, because last night I was getting hit so intense, the only thing I could think of is, are the neighbors being hit? Would they complain? The pulsing at night is very, very intense. Just burning. This town blames me for its own ills. You see, the media friends I had, this was back in the 90s, discovered about this program because of my targeting. I know they knew nothing about HUD's Operation Safe Home until I was listed by the then mayor. I don't think they knew about DEW either, directed energy weapons. My targeting started with HUD. I lived in a HUD complex. My name was listed because I was classified as a busybody activist dissident whistleblower. HUD used SWAT to enter large housing projects, clean them out of criminals. This was nationwide. When SWAT left the staff and the landlord in the city hall, they were allowed to list people. You see, in order to create a totalitarian state, you have to go where the people are on the local level. That means chain of command. The feds plan the program. State is involved to implement programs like Neighborhood Watch with the sheriffs, who controls the Neighborhood Watch. They even have a website. Then it goes to City Hall and local neighborhoods. Yes, more high targets are used with FBI and other organizations like NSA Security, etc. But most of this is on the local level. And yes, high technology of all kind is used from satellites on down. Pushing the buttons is easy. Most of the operators trained on computer games. They killed people with the push of a button or key. To them, blood is nothing because their psyche has been trained to see it as a game. I apologize for the noise coming in from outside. Like I said, I live on Main Street and it's so busy, day and night. So, let me continue. Targets are in the same classification as terrorists. Why? Because those who speak out, especially against government, are considered enemy. These crimes, large and small, done by many in government, do not want their secrets told. They want everything hidden. Because if the people found out what these son of a bitches are doing, they would burn the place down. I believe this program I am on did not start with MK Ultra. Not this program. I would say it was more related to the Phoenix program used in Vietnam, but the tactics of both programs are incorporated. This program started from HUD. This was the beginning of it, and why I believe black people are highly targeted, and then it went into mission creep. and the formula of destruction was used. Number one, you destroy the infrastructure, any support, savings, money of any kind, home, vehicle, medical, legal, financial, all gone after. Then number two is malign the reputation. Busybody, activist, dissident, whistleblower, prostitute, pedophile, anything will do. Then they work through the neighborhood, or they tell the perps that this is what you are, and that's why they're targeting you. Number three is destroy something the target owns every day, debilitating to the personality. It's like sand. You're picking up sand and it's just running through your hands, and there's no way you can stop it. It's absolutely devastating. Then number four is isolation for control, used against countries and people. Arafat was the last famous person that I read about that was used against, but now there's several other people like Bill Binney, Kirk Weeb, Karen Stewart, Catherine Horton, Romola. This is a program new that incorporates other aspects from other programs. The new issues are the technology weapons that make targeting much easier. No blood. The electronic weapons mock and can create natural diseases like cancer, heart attack, and stroke. I was forced into hospital and asked the emergency room doctor what would be the clinical aspect if you were hit in the heart with a laser pulse. And she said a heart attack. And then I said, what about the head? And she said a stroke. It's a silent holocaust. And then the family buries the person as a natural cause. No ovens needed. I know my neighbor, Teresa Mello, who shared a common bedroom wall, was killed by these local perps using breath-suppressing frequencies. One night, I was in bed, and I could feel them and had trouble breathing, and being younger and healthier, the breath suppression frequencies didn't bother me as much. But within a half hour of being hit, and I lay there and it was a beam, the ambulance was called and they took her to hospital and she died that night. So you see, these guys and gals are murderers, either murdering outright or forcing the person through due harassment to suicide, as I believe is now being done to me. That is where the blame should be, not on me, not on the targets. I didn't do anything, not a damn thing, except try to warn people of what is being done. I tried and tried but back then in the 90s, no one was listening. No one was even remotely aware of this technology. But from the first minute I was subjected to a vibrating frequency from Danny McKenna in the empty apartment upstairs, I knew this was technology. And the issue that made me so curious about it was not one word did I read about it. And I felt that I was pretty much up on new technology because I was very interested in it. I didn't hear about it anywhere. Nada. Not one word. So I knew this was something new, and the hunt began. I tuned into Yahoo groups and found lots of people subjected to directed energy weapons, but they had no clue as to what was going on. That was Looney Tunes City. Thank goodness for Eleanor White. She knew, and her advice has stood by me all these years. She knew what was going on, being an engineer. Thank you, Eleanor, a true heroine. One guy named Steve, who was in the Yahoo forums, told me I was being hit with directed energy weapons and pointed the way to these two men who had a website who was selling some of these illegal devices. That story is to be continued at a later date. To get back to my original theme, I didn't start this. I've only tried to warn others of these weapons and the fact that they have created a totalitarian state. NSA collects data on you, and if you catch their attention as I did, well then you're listed. You're examined. All collected data is examined. But this came later. A true totalitarian state. I don't think a lot of this was being done in the late 90s. I believe this program, was just being fleshed out. 9/11 made this possible when the Patriot Act was pushed through. That had already been prepared. So all of this stuff has been in the planning stage for quite a while, but not complete. They had to get it all together. For instance, the perps hid from the police back then. I would drive and the police would come up or be there and they would hide. Back in the 90s, the police had no idea of perps or what they were doing. As I said, the perps, those hired to follow targets, to use directed energy weapons on them, were not known to the police. Now the police and the perps are incorporated, not only in the street, but in the neighborhoods. Back then, this was all just melding. I think linking this to MK Ultra just confuses things. This is a program made up of many other ideas and concepts and mission creep, and new all on its own, with organizations, threat assessment teams, insurance fraud, depopulation, asset stripping, government paranoia, social engineering, all and much more added to the mix. Many other concepts have been added. I think that the government is now adding implants just to confuse everyone. They don't need implants. Morgellons and chemtrails, another confusion. What should be concentrated on is the do. All of the do, therein lies the danger. Mind control. The brain does not have a firewall. The other stuff is just icing on the cake. The do is the greatest danger to me, and NSA data collection and through walls technology, the millimeter camera, and mind control. The very basics of control and manipulation. The rest is a waste of time and to waste your time and energy. So my advice to all targets is to focus on these issues that I mentioned above and don't deviate. Have tunnel vision. Follow it through. So I leave you with all my well wishes.